So you want to play some games? Well, do I have a list for you. So there is a Steam Next Festival going on right now that allows you to play a bunch of different demos, and I already made a list of some turn-based games that I'm really excited for, but there are more games and they're all really good. So in this video, we're going to talk about some general strategy games that I'm excited for. Any game that was already mentioned in the previous list will not be mentioned here. It's disqualified. Let's go. This is a war game published by Slytherin, and it's a real-time war game, so it's kind of like an RTS. It has a unique army building system and a high customization of units, and you can play either as the Russian army or the American army. First of all, you can hide inside buildings, which is quite cool and unusual. I haven't seen that in any other war games. But also the game is quite beautiful and has a really good mission briefing. The mission briefing part is very immersive and very fun, and especially in war games, they don't tend to be always so pretty or so welcoming. So I really like that about this game. Now I'm going to stay in the world of RTS, and this time we're going to talk about Infection-Free Zone. So this is a game where you take charge of a group of survivors in any city in the world, and the city is actually based on real geographical data, which I think is really interesting. So theoretically, I guess, you could play near your home, which I think is pretty fun. You're going to be planning on building out your own city. We're building the building, scavenging, and then at night you're going to be fighting the infected. Next up, we're going to talk about Dark Envoy. So this is a RPG with real-time combat, and it's a group RPG, and it can be played both in single player but also in an online co-op. And what's really interesting in this game is that you're going to be able to control your battlefield. So you probably can't see it from these pictures, but essentially you can give out an area of spell. You can essentially draw how you want some of your spells to move, which is quite unusual and really interesting, and that way you can hit up the enemy in a way that you desire. And also different enemies from different factions should behave differently. So there's going to be different defensive enemies, then offensive enemies, then you're going to have enemies from factions that is just trying to protect certain things, which I think is going to be interesting. Next up, let's talk about Drop. Drop is a hacking game that is played in real time. So essentially you're going to have a timer going, and as the timer is going, you have to finish your hacking within that amount of time. And you always have a main and secondary objective, which can be, for example, delete data, or install a virus, or get some kind of access to a certain user, and etc. And then you have to fight against enemy defenses, so they're going to be hitting you. You got to keep your firewall up to protect you, and you got to delete logs from the server so that they don't get alerted to your presence. And it's a really fun game because there's a lot of different things you got to focus on, but it's not overwhelming either. Now I know you're hiding. I know you're watching this channel stealthily without subscribing. But I got you. You haven't gone rogue, which is the next game we're going to talk about. Now, this is stealth action game, essentially a tactical RPG, also played in real time, and you're going to be trying to lurk in the shadows and get in and steal from different houses or people or etc. And an alternative Europe of mid-20th century where everyone is subscribed to me, and if you're not, then bad things will happen. No, of course not, but I won't tell you what kind of Europe it is. You gotta play to find out. Okay, so I knew this game was gonna be good, Phantom Brigade, but I did not know it's gonna be this good. It's so incredible. It's a hybrid turn-based and real-time game, and this is a game where essentially you have this prediction device that allows you to predict how enemy moves. So essentially your turn will always take 5 seconds, and you can set up different things that you want to do within the turn. So for example, like you're going to move, then you're going to shoot, and then they're going to set up a shield, you're going to move, shoot twice, etc. And this prediction is going to predict where the enemies are going to be within those 5 seconds. And then it will all be happening at the same time. It's a little bit like a WeGo asynchronous system in wargames, but the way it works with the sort of like with the prediction makes it a lot more, I would say, immersive and a lot more fun, I would even say. This is a game where you're inside of a mecha suit and you're trying, and it's set into the future, and you're just trying to destroy enemies that sort of took over the world, and you're sort of the last leftovers of the previous government and just some other soldiers, and you're just trying to get things back to the way it were. And it's just they're great cinematic scenes. One of the best things about real-time combats, right, is that it gives you that immersion. It gets you really excited about the game, because turn-based games, since they're so abstract, where it's every time it stops, it can feel like you're not quite in it. But the disadvantage of real-time games is obviously that it can be quite difficult, because you have to focus on 10 things at the same time, and that can just not be fun, right? So the way that this is like put into turns, but the turns are real time, gives you sort of like the benefit of both. Like you have time to think about your next move, but you also get the benefit of really being inside the game, which is really emphasized with the cinematic scenes and etc. Sometimes when playing games, you can always feel like you are the strongest and biggest one out there. Like you're just the chosen one. Everybody's so weak compared to you. Well, how about Xenonauts 2, which is a strategy game that put you in charge of a military against an enemy that's much technologically superior. You're going to be trying to expand and manage your network across the globe. You're going to be doing research, development, try to get new technologies so that you can be a little bit more on par with the aliens. And you're going to be training your ground troops, obviously. Another interesting feature in this game is that a combat can be a learning opportunity. So essentially you can either try to finish enemy forces quickly with using like big weapons, or you get like explosive and etc., or you can try to get some of the baddies back and the alien technology, so that you can do some out-of-season reverse engineering and get better like technological advancement, which I think is a really interesting idea. Autobattler is like a very easygoing Autobattler. So essentially, this is like a monster training or monster taming game. We're going to have a variety of different monsters which each have their own abilities, and they do like a basic attack, and then they have like a special ability that does something. It can also synergize with other characters, and they're also like leveling up and getting stronger as they're fighting the enemy. It has the sort of standard roguelike map that you might be used to from roguelike deck builders, but it's not a deck builder, it's an Autobattler. And you also get additional synergies if you find multiple characters of the same type. Aside from the obvious auto-battling, you're going to have items that you can use yourself, and it's also going to be different like events and etc. Now, I hope you enjoyed this list. If you did, write down in the comments, and you can click on the right to watch my list of the upcoming turn-based games that I'm really excited for. I'll see you there.